I am very happy to welcome all our supremely talented, experienced panelists. We are talking about a very, the what we have seen for the ages now. Are we testers? Are we estates? Are we test architects? Many designations, a lot of ways of working. So all of these people will start throwing light on how they look at it. I'm very happy to welcome Brijesh. Brijesh is a seasoned tech pro with around 25 plus years of experience. He's an expert in creating cutting edge solutions by integrating AI, Agile, Devop, software testing. He's passionate of anthropology, so he loves to dwell with people and their psychology. A very warm welcome to you, Brijesh. He will be moderating this panel discussion for us.
Thank you so much, Deepti.
Thank you. I further go ahead and welcome Ajay. Ajay is a change agent, an idea and a motivational man. He is reinventing testing methods with the growing technologies. He is also a very active community member. He has co-founded Weekend Testing. Hi, Ajay. Welcome.
Hello everyone. Thanks, Dipti.
So here we have Santhosh. Santhosh has been kind enough to join us from the beginning of the conference. Santhosh is basically an expert in security testing and he's known for his application security skills. He's also a profound speaker and a great community person. Thank you, Santhosh.
Thank you.
We have Shweta, who has been contributing to the digital ecosystem for years now. She's a problem solver, a persistent learner. Welcome, Shweta.
Thank you, Dipti. Hello, everybody.
Hi. And we also have Khimanand, who is leading and driving the strategies for Testing Center of Excellence. He basically believes and tries to establish an innovation culture and design. A very warm welcome to you, Khimanand.
Thank you, Deepti. Hello, everyone.
Quickly, I give it to Brijesh to start this fireside chat.
All right. Thank you so much, Deepti, for the introductions. Namaste, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion. I have four eminent guests with me today, and the fun part is that all of them have names longer than mine, which is quite an interesting thing. In fact, Ajay's last name is longer than my full name, so that's incredible. But they all come with a huge depth of experience and are all wonderful panelists to discuss this very interesting topic. Forget testers, SDETs are all we need. So I would like to begin by asking my panelists a simple yes or no, or rather agree or disagree question, starting with Shweta. Ladies first. So Shweta, do you agree with the topic?
No, not at all.
No.
And I would also like to have an alignment on the definition of testers and SDETs moving forward.
Okay, we will come to your definition, of course. Okay, moving on. Khimanand, what is your take?
Yeah, no, I also don't agree.
You don't agree. Okay, Santhosh. You're on mute, Santhosh.
So when I saw the title, I was like, what's happening? What is this? Okay, which means no. Yeah.
Okay. And Ajay?
Yeah, let's agree upon what SDET here means, and then I would say yes or no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is quite interesting. I somehow had this feeling that most of you are going to disagree with the title on the face of it, and I guess my guess was right. But still, we would want to expand on the definitions, get the definitions right, and then maybe discuss this further. So, okay. Again, going back to you, Shweta, what is your definition of an SDET?
My definition would be someone who certainly understands the fundamentals of testing, who is able to apply it. So SDET is a combination of effectiveness plus efficiency for me.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Again, in the same order, Khimanand.
Yeah, so see, before maybe I go to definition of SDET, I think we should probably also briefly look at what would you want quality engineering to do? What would you want testing to do? What fundamental goal you think testing should serve in your product engineering side? Should this goal be to write really world-class code, super duper code, or should the goal be to eliminate issues from the system or to find bugs, for example? Yeah. For me, if you ask me, and I see a lot of wonderful colleagues here, I think one fundamental job of quality engineering is to find bugs from the system. Everything else is probably an enabler. Technology is an enabler to do that, maybe. Let's say if we have somebody who is writing wonderful world-class code to me, flawless code, but this code is not finding issues from the system. At least as leader, I would question it. For example, it may be a very, very fast running code. It may be an automation framework which is probably unmatched across the globe, but still it is not probably doing what it is supposed to do. So I think while we discuss what is SDET or there are so many synonymous terms in quality engineering world. Let's also probably discuss what do we actually want to achieve, because once we are very clear on what we want to achieve, the next step is to see whether we need an SDET, whether we need, I don't know, AI, whether we need whatever. Probably goal, I think I would, focus a little bit here also. There is, for this group, there is a very interesting concept from Google. And I'm sorry, I'm using this word. This is not my word. This is coming from Google. It says testing on the toilet. So Google created this philosophy called testing on the toilet. If you search for it, you will find it. And that's where they try to advocate that it's okay for quality engineering if the code is, let's say, probably not world class, it's not reusable, but the code should find issues. But yeah, it's a very long thought process that came from it. I stop here, Brijesh.
All right. Moving on. Santhosh, what's your definition of SDET?
Definition. I think I don't really, things keep changing, the trend setting and all these things. But I think it was in 2004 itself where I was automating and understanding the value, what I can really achieve based on what I want to do. So then the AutoIt came in. So now we are speaking about Selenium, Playwright, and all these things. But when AutoIt was there, which was Windows automation tool, and not many people know it because it was very early one. So I think that when you say, does it mean software development engineering test? I think many people have different definitions for themselves, but I think it's a trend kind of a thing, which is like everybody says, I'm yes, that. But I don't know if there is a gap between what you want to test and what you are writing the code for, or what you are doing multiple activities towards. I think I wouldn't even define it. I would do whatever makes something work. Yeah.
All right.
I would even automate. But if I'm automating something, okay, first I need to know how I need to test. If I don't know testing, I don't think so. Okay, I'll be doing a shallow whatever SDET or automation or all those things. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Ajay?
See, I want to take the analogy of a operation theater. The person who administers the anesthesia, is that person important or the surgeon? Are important, right?
Both.
Now, the panel topic testers or SDETs? Why or? Why not and? And is this a subset skills? Is a subset of each other, or which is the bigger Venn diagram? We don't know, right? When I say we don't know the context in which we are discussing all of this. It is just 2-3 phrases: testers or SDETs. Where? What kind of projects? Then we can say, oh, okay, this kind of skill is more important than this kind of skill, right? Right now, I think if we can take the entire 1 hour to dig deep into and set the context itself, as in where SDET kind of skills will be important, where testers are important. Do we even need to separate them? Some people might be doing everything that we list under SDET, but might not call themselves as SDET, but they might just call themselves as a software tester, a quality engineer. So I think I'll be the odd man out here in this panel discussion with this line of thought saying, why are we even discussing SDET versus testers? But again, I would leave it to you, Brijesh. I'm hoping that you'll dig some deeper questions, some lateral thinking coming out, and then we make the best use of this time.
Ajay, I think you're not a odd man. Why do you say that? Because I said that, well, whatever makes something work, context. So stop saying, okay, you are on the top number one, please. Yeah. No, just kidding, okay? Yeah.
Well, I love this banter between the panelists. Well, that should happen more and more. No, Ajay, excellent point. But before I proceed to the next question, just a note for the audience that you can put in your comments and your questions, and we will take them as we proceed. We don't want to wait till the very end to do that. Okay, moving further. Well, Ajay, you brought in a very good point as to why this or that. Now, I will bring in a perspective, or rather a couple of perspectives here, starting with the perspective of business owners and what is happening in the current day. Okay, if you look at the job descriptions primarily these days, okay, something that is almost in all the job descriptions, something that is completely missing is, and I'm talking about job descriptions for testers or quality engineers, as most of the companies are starting to refer to their teams as these days, is that there is a lack of testing depth or depth in testing in the job descriptions that are put forth. It's more to do with automation. And that is why, because it is more to do with automation, the roles are also labeled as SDETs. Okay, and it is more to do with a label rather than what the actual task entails. And a lot of business owners, a lot of leaders feel that they could get more out of these SDET kind of people, because they should be able to, in their opinion, they should be able to code, they should be able to test, they should be able to do both. So they are getting more out of just one person. Okay, and that is why this trend is going on and has reached where it is today. And that is the reason why the focus is suddenly shifted from actual testing to the role as that, trying to achieve more out of stuff. So from a business perspective, now let's say if I am the leader of a product-based organization and my company makes products, and I want something to be tested now, and I'm looking for people. Okay, so what sort of people would you recommend to me? Okay, is something that I would like to know. And how would you want to go about building a team, in the sense developing a job description and taking it further? So this time I would go with Santhosh, you first.
I know, I'm just still thinking. You can go with the other person. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go with Khimanand. Yeah, Khimanand.
Yeah, so Brijesh, I think, as I said, for me, mindset is more important than technology. I still think if somebody is writing a world-class code, and if this code is not finding defect, or if this code was not written with the intent of finding the defect, then probably, somebody is going to question the value of the code. So in that job description, mindset for quality engineering is very, very important. We can bring in optimization by using any technology we want. It could be AI, it could be Selenium, it could be Playwright, it could be anything, literally anything else, depending on what your project need is. But for me, the core is the knowledge and understanding of, you call it testing, I call it quality engineering, and also the thought process for it. So when I talk to many colleagues, which we are trying to at least, let's say, hire in the team, this thinking or thought process for quality engineering is important. And another thing that I want to stress here is automation will do what it is coded to do. This is very, very important to note. It is only doing what you code it to do. No left thinking, no right thinking, no, let's say, deep thought process, etc. And if the person who is coding is not thinking left and right and only thinking, let's say, in one direction, then again, while you can get a little bit of optimization, but probably not to the level that you're expecting. So job description must have the good knowledge of testing, the mindset for quality engineering, and depending on your context, bring in technology that brings the optimization, because business needs optimization. The cost is very important factor across the globe. So optimization, you can choose any technology for that. For me, that is probably not, let's say, the primary factor, Brijesh, in the job description.
Shweta?
Yeah, Brijesh. So I would like to answer this question because I've experienced it. So I was working on a product, and so firstly, what kind of people do we need? We need different kind of skills. Now, whether those skills are found in a particular role or in, a mix of different roles, that is something that we need to identify within the organization. So we were building a highly time-sensitive application, and it was built on microservices. So, it was quite a complex architecture, and we were building it for the first time. So we hadn't delivered this kind of application previously. So everything was an experiment, to be honest. I like Marit's question here, like, are analysts, business experts also part of the testing team here? I would like to say that I was closely working with the business stakeholders within the client side, from the client side. So although I've been a tester all my life, I had the designation of a director, but I was the one who was acting the role of BA/product owner as well there, wherein I was trying to understand all the requirements of the application within the broader quality umbrella. You speak of the functionality, and the application was quite complex because it had a B2B aspect. It had a B2C portal as well. Each had its multiple user roles, permissions, privileges, integration requirements, performance requirements, security requirements, because a lot of money was involved there. And while we were working on this, we identified the MVP of the product. Okay, what's going to be the MVP? And that's when my technical team also started collaborating with me. Within the technical team, I had one of my test automation engineers / SDET as well, who was actively contributing to it, because we were trying to bounce various POCs, because we were not, first we chose a certain tech stack, and my test automation engineer was continuously writing dedicated automated tests for the POC itself, which was giving us continuous feedback of the POC, which would not have been possible by just having one tester, right, who didn't have the capability to code, because the efficiency aspect comes in. Or, I would have had to probably say employ 5 more testers to enable continuous feedback. My one SDET could give me that kind of feedback where multiple microservices were involved, multiple APIs were involved. And so it was a combination of both. I was the one who was front-ending the customer, understanding what is really the success criteria of this MVP, whereas the technical team, which involved my automation tester, was helping me to apply it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is quite a good example, and it brings out very good aspects of what the role should actually entail, or what the combination should actually entail. But Ajay, I know I saw you thinking very deeply about something. So what is your thought?
Thinking of the roles, thinking of the job description for a team, a project team, which is focused on testing a product and then releasing it to customers, right? So if this is the context, then I'm thinking someone very good at testing, with that kind of a testing mindset, where I would say, hey, uh, things can go wrong and things will go wrong. And I will be the key person. I'll not be the only person. I'll be one of the key persons to keep thinking on this line. Would be one key member in my team. The second member would be, how can I get this done faster? How can I get this done through tools? How can I get this done? How can I save time for other members? And that could be your SDETs, your toolsmith, uh, you're someone who is super passionate about tools, utilities, and things like that. These two people would be very key for me. And then the third, someone who can coordinate across all roles, stakeholders, very good with people, very good in connecting the dots, very good in bringing clarity when there is chaos all around, maintaining that project timelines, kind of a project manager role, but then also understand what they say as a technical project manager, program manager kind of a role. With these three things, I mean, these three roles, these three people would be, if I had the least budget and I could hire only three, I would go with these three. And then
Excellent.
I would build the remaining roles based on how much budget and time and contextual factors.
You brought in a very interesting aspect to this discussion. It's called budget. Now, cost is one factor that affects most of the decisions that are taken in organizations. And when selecting roles or when selecting people, I think it plays a very key role in deciding whom to pick, whom not to pick. And with that cost in mind, of course, people try to opt for for folks who are multi-skilled, if I may put it that way. And that's where a lot of corners are cut. Okay, I would like to think that way. But yeah, before I go on to the next question, which is a very interesting one from someone in the audience, Santhosh.
Yeah. So the title goes like forget testers, okay, and the SDETs. But my question is, I mean, majority of them, where are testers is the question, first of all.
Right.
So I mean, there are people, but it's just having a spreadsheet and saying pass, fail, this works out, okay, send it to the other people. What I feel is you call it business, I call it as a humanity for me. So when I work, I don't consider this as a business. Okay, we need to send it there. But I know I'm born in the wrong planet. Okay. But everybody is speaking about business, everything. Okay, we need to tell this to the customer. How many times you keep lying to the customers is the question. Okay. Do you have that integrity? So everybody says, okay, we have this integrity, this thing, we are a big company, this company. But are we human beings is the question, first of all. And we speak about testing. And when we speak about testing, how many people we come up with a lot of frameworks? Okay, we do this, we do that, and everybody, I mean, they feel proud about that, which is great if they feel good. But feeling proud is not against the people who know something else. Now that speaks about the culture within the company. And if somebody is always being, oh, this, you know what, this means 10 out of 10, and this doesn't mean anything. which means the person who is on the top, which means the managerial or whatever, they may be thinking wherever their thoughts are synchronizing with the some person within the team. Okay, this person is a estate. I love estate. Okay, so that's why there is kind of a partiality. Okay, that's what is happening. And number two, people want to mint money, right? Okay, they want to get money. Oh, we went to this $1 million, but at what cost? At what cost? Until it happens to us, we will always say, oh, the business is working fine. Just because your mindset says that my 100% is this, but for me it's 5%. And your customers also feel good because they're also seeing from your view, saying that, oh, this 100% is good. But what do they know? So I think the diversity is one, and people need to actually test and do the interviews. Okay, give them a product. Okay, let them test in front of you ideas. Okay, and let's say how many people know web developer tools? Just because it says developer, they don't want to touch that. How many people know? They just want to know the locators, XPath, and all those things. They go to the Elements tab. But how many people go and look into how do I stop the JavaScript execution? How can I take a screenshot? Can somebody in the group tell me how can they take a screenshot for the toast messages on the web? Anybody? So you'll be like, oh, let me be quick. Okay. Let me be quick. Oh, it's gone. Oh, let me be quick again. How do you take it? There are many things, web developer tools. Okay, you can use many different tools, utilities, curl commands, all the things. But people are not doing that. Now that could also speak about the psychology of people. And people are facing a lot of problems in their lives, okay, especially in today's world. Now, what's happening? People say inclusivity, and then we want to include everybody, but where is it leading? So I think that it's not one fix that goes here for the human being who is testing. So there are multiple fixes required here, and there is nothing called as a beta human beings here as of now. So I think what we need to do is first we need to have that inclusivity as well. And people speak about this, what is that? Diversity and inclusion, right? I think that diversity and inclusion is not by the books. You got to see, does it make you, are you a human being? And then diversity and inclusion is getting into you. You can, of course, get certain ideas from somebody, but I think first thing, once you become a human, there's a humanity and you solve things much faster. Yeah.
Well, Santosh, no, that was very passionate indeed, but you brought in a very interesting side, the human side of testing, and it calls for a whole separate discussion, okay, or the human side of quality or whatever you want to call it.
Until we mix these things up, discussion, it won't solve.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you on that 100%. I want to go to one very interesting question that I'm seeing in the chat room. It is from Vishal Gurnane. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Vishal. The question is, I want to hear from someone in a leadership role. When hiring for a quality roles, what key attributes, skills, and mindsets do you prioritize? Now, interestingly enough, all four panelists that are there on the screen are in leadership roles. So yeah, I would like to hear from all of you. And this time, Ajay, why don't we start with you, because you are now or you have been in a leadership role for quite some time.
Yeah, so touching upon what Santhosh highlighted and then connecting it to this question as well is, why are we doing what we are doing? Is to solve someone's problem, some problem. If you're not doing that, whatever you use Gen AI, you use Selenium, you use Cypress Playwright, or you don't use any of these tools, customer doesn't care, right? End of the day, that's the one-liner. With that, can I talk with this person for 30 minutes? Can this person think? Can this person understand what I'm trying to say? Has this person done what they claim to have done? Can they explain what they claim they have done? And have they done some interesting stuff? When I say interesting stuff, is it like 5+ years in the same thing, or in the same 2 years, 5 different things related to the technology, right? So curiosity, learning ability, persistence, and then some portfolio in terms of having put out your work out there, or some recommendation. If my friend says, Brijesh is good, then I'll like, yeah, okay, my friend is good, then friend is saying Brijesh is good, then Brijesh should be good. So that way, how many people talk about you, and what do they talk about you? If someone says, oh, no, don't go to that person, they'll claim very good things in interview, but they'll mess it up, then sorry. That is kind of a red flag for me. Yes, I will test it out. I will test you out in the interview, but then, yeah. So curiosity, learnability, your particular context skills, and then your reputation, credibility plays an important role for me.
Those are some very interesting attributes to have, or rather key attributes to have for a tester. Shweta, coming to you next. What do you think are the roles, attributes that you'll be looking for?
So, with years of experience in the hiring and being part of the actual interview process, like I've also conducted round 1 and I've also conducted the last round. One is I'm quite pragmatic when it comes to hiring. It depends on the need that I need to fulfill. The requirement, is it a requirement that I need to fulfill in the current month, in the current week, or the current quarter, or is it a requirement that I need to fulfill thinking of the future? So based on that, certainly +1 to all the attributes that Ajay mentioned, except for the reputation. I would want to evaluate the person based on my experience instead of someone else. My first question is usually around their profile, whatever they've mentioned in their resume. If they are able to articulate it well in front of the team, in front of the group, I think that itself is 50% of the job done for me. It doesn't matter whether they have 100% matching skills that we have mentioned in the JD or not. If they have been able to articulate their past experience, there is a high probability that they'll be able to do well in the new JD as well, or in the new environment as well. There are a few attributes. Next important attribute is their ability to take feedback, their ability to take feedback from their previous experiences. So one of the questions that I certainly ask is that, what is the biggest mistake that they have done so far, be it their personal life or professional life? If they have a professional mistake, I would like to hear that first instead of the personal one. And I like honest answers. So I would like to know whether, were they offended? Yes. If they were offended, fine. How did they rectify it? Usually teaching these skills becomes tougher as opposed to teaching any other skill that falls within the quality engineering umbrella. The next attribute that I look for is, what if they say that they are a continuous learner and learnability. I usually ask for, what is it that they are learning currently, right? And that speaks whether they are really a learner or not. And there are a lot of questions that help me understand their attitude towards testing as well, their attitude towards testing within general, especially when it comes to automated testing interviews. I see how they view testers in their team, right? So that's a different perspective altogether. But for communication skills is extremely important to me as well. Confidence, because the way testers are placed in our organization, they are client facing, and they also need to be extremely confident when they are dealing and interacting within the internal team members as well. So they shouldn't feel overpowered. They shouldn't feel as though they are not being valued. How they value their own work is something that I view, but that again depends on the kind of role we are hiring for, because I cannot expect a lot of confidence from someone who's just had like 1 year in the industry. That also depends on what kind of environment, mentorship, leadership they have been in. So that varies from role to role, but someone who's been in the industry for long, I would certainly look at their growth trajectory. Have they been, sorry to say, but I have had profiles who have 10 years of experience, the figure 10 years, but the growth trajectory hasn't been great. And we cannot blame the environment or the organization anymore for not offering growth, right? It isn't the case when we joined the software industry. We didn't even have smartphones. I didn't have access to the internet within the organization. Today, learnability is certainly not an option. It's a non-negotiable, and one cannot give any reasons to have not learned anything new. So yeah, this is what I usually look for.
Excellent points in there as well. Khimanand, now you've been in a hiring role for quite some time, I guess. So what do you look for?
Yeah, no, of course, for a very long time. But I think our thinking has different stages. When we hire somebody who is supposed to be more individual contributor to somebody who is supposed to be more leading, it is the thinking that has to change. And and also, I mean, I'm leader in my organization. I also have to think what should be my own thinking. I think the different stages of thinking probably that I have noticed is, people may be task driven, they may be multitask driven, they may be metatask driven, they may be strategy driven, and ultimately there may be people who are driving some strategy at different stages of thinking. If you are probably, let's say, a leader in quality engineering within, let's say, organization X, then your thinking should carry the ability to drive the strategy. You cannot be driven by a strategy, then you have to drive the strategy. So depending on the leadership level that, let's say, I'm hiring, if let's say I'm hiring a quality engineering lead or a quality engineering manager or a quality engineering program manager, at least personally, I try to map the level of thinking that my colleague can bring on the table. That is very important for me. And based on that level of thinking, the outcomes, the behavior, and all wonderful points that Ajay and Shweta and Santhosh also mentioned are probably mapped, For a leader, for example, there is this famous saying which says that competence cannot solely rest with the leader. It has to flow throughout his or her team. So a leader, probably, if I'm hiring a quality engineering leader, while I check his or her competence, but I also cross-check whether this leader is proactively thinking or carries the ability to think that he has to create multiple leaders like him within the organization. So the abilities has to flow down. So things like that. Beyond this. So these are all probably, the soft skills aspects. But beyond this, of course, the skills around testing is important. But if I'm hiring a leader, I will probably be less operational and either more tactical or more strategic, but maybe slightly less operation in terms of the operational in terms of conversation. I would probably, I may ask about what have you, let's say, learned in terms of whatever automation, testing, etc. But I would probably also ask what this leader did for the team around her or him in terms of collaboration, for example, in terms of leveling up uh, the team in skill or in all different areas. Because I think leader carries a broader responsibility of moral and also professional responsibility of not just caring about herself or himself, but also caring about a larger ecosystem. That is what I think. So yeah, so I think that is important. So I mean, cross-validating the level of thinking that the colleague carries is probably important, right?
Okay. Very interesting perspective there, Khimanand. Santhosh, what qualities would you look for?
Okay.
Human side, of course.
All right. So, thank you for everybody for helping me with some of the things which I could think over deeply. One is the first one where I connected with is when Shweta Sharma, she spoke about communication skills. Nowadays, people think that I know this language, I know that language, you are fluent in that language. It means it's communication skills, which is not. Communication skills, it's just not talking, but about a specific, it's not even about a specific language as an expert. No, it's not. And then Kima, he spoke about certain leadership as well. And then what skills can a tester have? Uh, is the human being willing to learn? Is the human being willing to invest time? So I remember in 2008 when I used to go in a bus from one of the areas in Bangalore, like around 15 kilometers, and then I would reach at around 10 o'clock in the night. I would request that cyber cafe or internet cafe to keep it open for half an hour more so that I could learn something. Then he said it's not only half an hour, it can be 1 hour. So where he saw the energy. And then it was a learning where I used to carry all the blog posts and everything, whatever documents in my pen drive. And I used to come back. We used to have floppy disk, right? 1.5 MB a long time back. So I used to import them and then come home, and I did not have a computer. So I had to see where I can get the computer, maybe in friend's place or somebody else. Then I would do that. So does that person have that? I mean, what do you call zeal to learning is the question one. Now, zeal to learning can be only witnessed. It cannot be seen by listening to somebody because people are good at faking. Okay. Oh, most of them are. Most of them are what I have seen. Okay. Based on talking to people, not only testers, but generally. One is skills. Okay. Are they willing to have a time to learn? Now, thoughts about testing. I would like to ask about their thoughts about testing. What do they even think about testing? Now, thought process about developers as well, because we see a hated culture because people are just speaking about each other in the companies. Now, what is the thought process against the other team members? When we say colleagues, what do we mean by that? Right? We are just using that because it's very good to speak about that. And everyone says mental health is important, right? Everyone says. It's just like which browser it was a joke on that on those web browsers, right? Who wants to be fast? Everybody, but who is really fast? And everyone says mental health is important, but most of them don't want to talk openly about it because there's a great taboo as well. We have different sets of taboo based on cultures as well, and there's no empathy. Empathy is only in the books, and now everybody says empathy as a culture. Well, I think it has to be 20 people need to think about it. They have to sit there and speak to somebody and what is empathy to them. And then I would ask a person, a human being, saying that, can you test? And let me see how you test. So I would sit and observe there. I wouldn't say, I'll ask you certain definitions. You need to give me an answer. I think I need to hire an artificial intelligence rather than natural intelligence, right? So if I do that, and then questions, what kind of questions can they ask me based on what they are asked to test? I would get to understand better about the person who's testing. And so I believe in this. There are no mistakes in life, but only events in life. So I want to make sure my team members understand the events slow and steady rather than saying, okay, it's a mistake, it's a mistake. Human beings don't do mistakes. There are events of life. Okay, one. And then the last one is not last one, but one or two. Okay. So are you happy in your life? Because happy people do things well and because they want to live well. If you're not happy, then there is certain problem. Instead of doing a bug fix, first you need to fix your life of what's happening within me. Because only once you fix here, you can fix certain things at professional work. And
Well,
what are the
Santhosh, Santhosh,
Yeah.
I know that you have a comprehensive list, but we are a little short on time.
You can just wait for 30 seconds. I'll be done.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sure.
What are a
Okay,
few
30
things
seconds.
that would somebody like to teach me about testing this software? What kind of questions they can ask? What kind of thinking they have? It is lateral thinking, critical thinking, or whatever, cognitive thinking, and all these things. And well, last one. I'm not a leader, but I don't want to be a leader. I want to be one among the human beings, and I rest my case here. Cool.
Oh, cool. No, that was again a very passionate response and a summary of all of you. But I have a very interesting observation to make in all your responses. None of you mentioned coding skills. Now, it's something that I was hoping. Oh, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, but it did not come. And so, I mean, I want to tell the audience that as much as the emphasis is on coding skills in your job descriptions, there are certain other things that leadership looks for. And it's very important to try and, learn coding. I mean, I'm not saying no, don't do it. Of course, you need it, so you do it. But, pay attention to the human side of testing as well. And all the skills that these eminent leaders have listed are coming in those. Now, there were a couple of very interesting questions from Adi himself. How do you test learnability, and how do you or how do you look for learnability, or how do you look for empathy during an interview? And Shweta, since you mentioned learnability, I want to direct this one to you. How would you evaluate somebody's learnability? Deepti, I know you're on the screen. I think I have 1 more minute, so let's take a very quick response.
We can take five
From a
or
couple of
7 more
panelists.
minutes, Brijesh. We can take
7 more
5 or 7.
minutes? Okay,
Yes.
excellent. All right, thank you. Yeah. So Shweta.
Yeah,
off you go.
so as I mentioned, right, a very, very quick way to identify this is asking them what is the current skill that they have been learning, right? And that itself can give you a good picture about when they mentioned that they are enthusiastic about learning new technologies and so and so. I go deep into that question based on the topic, tool, skill that they have mentioned. Another way I evaluate is, let's say they've had 4 to 5 years of experience in the industry or whatever. I ask questions such as how has their journey changed, improved, evolved right from year one of testing to year end of testing. And I think awareness in the answers is a great sign of showing or expressing that you have the ability to learn. A person who has low awareness on this probably would not be able to even answer this question. Learnability happens in many cases. One is something that happens, organically, even whether you want to learn or not. It's highly depending on the environment. When you work in a certain environment or when you change environment, there is always some new learning that happens. Second is something that happens by choice. I usually see a lot of people saying that, I have picked up Playwright, I have picked up Cypress, and, any new tool in the market. And some questions around, let's say, when you were a tester and you were testing the UI on 5 different browsers, 4 different browsers, have you got efficient at testing that? What are the patterns that you have identified? So learnability has to be tied to the pragmatic world of testing, and they should be able to differentiate the answers between how a budding young fresh tester would test a particular thing as opposed to an experienced tester. That would showcase their learnability.
Excellent. Okay, Ajay, the next one to you. How do you look for empathy in a person during an interview?
I don't know. The people who say I don't know are not afraid to say I don't know. No one knows everything. And so, and I don't know answer for this question.
Yeah, usually I would have asked tough questions to understand whether the person is empathetic enough or not. I ask questions regarding conflict management, whether they've had conflicts with other testers, whether they've had conflicts with developers, and what have they learned through these conflicts. And I have been able to evaluate folks on empathy based on these questions.
Or how about responses to feedback? Or how about responses to production bugs? Okay, shows empathy. If there is a blame culture, then there is zero empathy. It's pretty straightforward. So there is this very interesting question that I saw in the chat, and I would like to answer that on your behalf, Adi. You asked, who would say they are not happy in life in an interview? Now, well, I know that most people would not say that, but I have had a tester, okay, who during an interview told me that she was not happy in life, and that's why she wanted to do a testing job, because testing gave her joy, and she wanted to reclaim
British,
her happiness
if
through a
you ask
testing
them, are
job.
you happy with your salary? Then answer will always be no, At least on that part, maybe, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that answer, that the
Brijesh,
universal answer to that
I'll
question
just
is
interject since it was
okay.
my question. Santosh said that if people say they are happy, he would be happy for them to hire. It is
Yes.
actually the other way, right? So
Yes.
people who say not
Yeah.
happy, would you hire them? That is what basically my question was. And nobody would
Yeah,
say,
yeah. So yeah, I was answering that only, Adi. So
even
the
if
girl
somebody
told me,
says, yeah, even if somebody says they are happy or not happy, like let's say that somebody said not happy to you, Brijesh, right? Would Santosh hire that person in that case?
The question is to me or Brijesh?
yeah, Santosh, to you.
Okay.
Would you
Would I
hire?
hire? Well, there is no binary answer to it. There are a lot of things. Okay, when I sit with the person and I talk, okay, other questions and everything. But if the person says I'm happy or not happy, well, there's no straight answer to that. Yeah.
Well, so in my case, I did hire, and she turned out to be one of the top performers in the project down the line. Deepti, time check. How much time do I have?
You can take 5 more minutes, Brijesh. We are
I
eating up
can.
the
Okay.
break time, but there are many questions on the chat. So
Yeah. There are many questions, and so that's why I just want to, throw in a couple of them if time permits, with very quick answers from
it's
from
strictly
from all
five
of you.
minutes. This time, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Strictly, if we could stick to 5 minutes this time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So very short, 30-second answers, maybe to a couple more questions. Now, this is the day and age of AI. Everyone seems to be talking about AI. And how can a discussion with you eminent leaders happen without talking about AI? So, how important are AI skills in today's day and age? And are you, in your hiring, somewhere thinking about hiring people with AI skills? If so, why? If not, why not? Let's go around again. Let me start with Khimanand this time. Khimanand, what's your take?
Yeah, so see, from a market traction point of view, this is an important topic for C-levels, I think. So they're asking many GCC service providers to go for, or at least to have something in AI. So from a strategy point of view, this is an important part for us. But I don't think we need people in bulk because there is no work in bulk. We may need some people, a fraction of it. But I think largely most of the organizations still do a lot of, let's say, traditional work, and many of them are still probably not even at traditional. So so to answer your question, Brijesh, we can hire one or two, and we have hired one or two. We are experimenting. We are creating some solutions, accelerators on AI, because this is also one of our goal to continuously explore how can we further optimize things and bring value. But I would probably not worry too much about it. I'll worry too much about AI the day I see a robot walking on the road with me, crossing the red light without any help. Probably that will be the day when I'll worry too much about AI. I think in today's context, at least to the business that I'm looking after, I don't see this as a very, very
Well,
big threat or something which is
the
very, very big in demand.
isn't the Optimus from Tesla able to do that? Talk to you, cross the road, walk along with you, and cross the road.
Yeah, maybe. I have not tested, so I can't put my finger on it. But yes, maybe they maybe. So yeah. I mean, while Tesla is very, very reliable brand, but there is a thing called marketing also in this world.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. That's why it was able to
We
make a
need to
drink.
see through marketing sometimes to
Yeah.
see the
That's
real.
why it was able to make a specific drink and serve the customer. So
Yes.
anyways, Ajay, now you are in a new role. So what is your take on hiring people with
Yeah,
AI?
so see, I recently joined postcode.ai,
Mhm.
and we are looking for people with skills, with passion, with whoever has spent enough time learning about AI. We have a role for you. And those who have not learned, it's not that we don't have a role for you. As I told, we have a different role for you. Test what the AI folks will build it out. And the ones who are learning about AI help us build it out, right? So as I continue to mention, there is role for everyone. It is just about how skilled you are. Uh, the surgeon has a role in the operation. The person who administers the anesthesia also has a role. Now, which one is more important? Time will tell, right? But for the next at least 5 years, everything is important. Whatever you do it so well that no one can replace you. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I have a very recent experience of the surgeon analogy, so I have to agree with you on that, Ajay. Well, Shweta, what's your take?
Whether I'm hiring or not, so I'll just, briefly say that I keep my research and development and delivery separate. I don't mix the both. Okay. Delivery has to be predictable, and there cannot be any surprises there. Innovation needs to happen here, right? Whatever works in the research and innovation, when we are confident about it, only then we pass it on to delivery. Am I hiring for AI skills? No. I have a ticket that is yet to be groomed on exploring AI in testing. I will have a couple of my team members work on it. We will work on it collaboratively. Once we identify a solution that is applicable in our organization within our context, we will pass it on to delivery, and then we will make claims that we are able to apply AI in testing. But I'm not looking for any AI testers or any AI related skills in testing as of now while I'm hiring.
Okay. Santhosh, quick 30 seconds.
Why the hell do you say quick 30 seconds to me? Am I your enemy or something? Dude, okay, we'll catch up soon, okay? So I'll take 2 minutes, okay? Thank you. So the hiring, right? So well, I have a different experience with the hiring. So I was actually fired for not hiring anybody, okay? This was long time back. So I was one part of this interview panel, and somebody asked me in the end, it was a walk-in interview, how many did you hire? I said none. Okay. So I had to voluntarily resign from the hiring thing. Okay. I'm not good with that. Okay. So if somebody sits with me and tests, okay, I will know it. Okay, what you can test for. That's it, nothing else. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, panelists. I think that was a very interesting discussion. Some very interesting observations there. So, it is important to have testing skills, the fundamentals right before you get into, coding and the old SDET world as it is defined by the industry mainly. But what I gathered from this discussion is your context is very important. Everybody has a very different context. As you could see from the responses, the product side has a different context. The service side has a different context. And, what we think of as soft skills are some of the most important skills for testers to have is something that has come out from this discussion. I want to thank the panelists for a very interesting, very nice discussion. Love the passion with which you speak, Santhosh. You brought out the human side of testing, put a lot of focus on that, and I think that is very important, and we should never forget about that. Khimanand, Ajay, Shweta, thank you for the views on leadership. Excellent. Yeah, Santhosh.
I'm with Ajay when he said he cannot understand empathy. Okay, I can't understand either. It's something not which I can identify. Just wanted to add the point. I think it takes time, good enough time to understand people.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Or else I would say I love you to somebody and somebody would say I love you back to me. So it takes time. Yeah.
Yes. Couldn't disagree.
And thank you, Brijesh, for being such a wonderful moderator. I really like your style.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank all everyone in the audience for the wonderful questions and the chat going on. Deepti, over to you.
Thank you, Brijesh. Thank you, Ajay, Khimanand, Shweta, Santhosh. I think it lit up all our minds. There are a lot of questions in the chat. I know there was a lot of panel discussion in the chat as well. So if you all can just check that out, and if you can spare some time to answer whatever interests you.